In this video, we're going to discuss 10 foods that a kidney disease patient eats every day to reverse stage 5 kidney disease. Sometimes, the impossible happens. You think you've hit rock bottom, but life has a talent for digging even deeper. Case in point, a man facing stage 5 kidney disease. All hope seemed lost, and all options exhausted. Dialysis was the only thing left. He was put on the fast track to a dialysis clinic, preparing for the worst. And seriously, what could be worse? But the universe loves surprises, doesn't it? Even dialysis failed him. And what's left when even the lifeline sinks? First, you stay calm. This is when the story takes a turn so dramatic, even Hollywood would be jealous. Just when everything seemed lost, our man did the impossible. With some dietary changes and serious lifestyle adjustments, he didn't just tread water, he swam back to shore. He reversed from stage 5 to stage 4, with a GFR boost that made doctors double-check his charts. Today, we'll look at exactly how this man ate each day to avoid dialysis. Avoiding dialysis, a case study. Today, we'll focus on what really works for each CKD patient, a low-protein diet. The introduction of this video centers entirely around a case study published in a peer-reviewed medical journal, the World Journal of Nephrology and Urology. The patient, a successful 81-year-old man, avoided dialysis primarily thanks to a strict low-protein diet. There's truly a lot we can learn from his story, so let's dive right in. Let's look at the foods this man ate to keep the dialysis machine at bay. What to eat to avoid dialysis. Let's start with the one food group that essentially contains no protein. Do you know which group I'm talking about? That's right, fruits. Next time you're staring into the fridge, wondering what you can eat without hurting your kidneys, just grab some fruit. Want some examples? If you're looking to add a little flavor, vitamins, and antioxidants to your diet without protein, look no further than the wonderful mango. Mangoes are like nature's candy, but don't let the sweetness fool you. These fruits are packed with benefits. Some people shy away from mangoes because of their sugar content, but that's just nonsense. Mangoes have actually been linked to improved insulin resistance. They're rich in fiber and pectin, which are great for managing cholesterol and blood sugar levels. They also contain high levels of polyphenol, including mangiferin, an antioxidant powerhouse linked to reduced risk of diabetes and kidney disease. Another underrated food for a kidney diet is avocado. If you're looking to keep your carb intake low, avocado is your best friend. This green fruit is loaded with vitamins C, E, K, and B6, along with a bunch of other nutrients you can't pronounce but definitely need. Avocados are like the overachievers of the fruit world, packed with antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds. They're here to protect your kidneys from oxidative damage, and they contain more healthy fats and fiber than a typical Dieter's meal. By the way, these fruits are low in potassium, which is even more important. There's only one diet that's been proven effective at all stages of CKD to slow or even stop disease progression, a plant-based diet rich in vitamins and antioxidants, but low in protein, sodium, and phosphorus. Yep, that's the secret that saved this man from dialysis. So if you want to beat CKD, take notes. You are not only what you eat, you are also what you don't eat. But variety isn't just the spice of life, it's the foundation of an effective kidney diet. So let's look at some underrated fruit choices, maybe even something exotic. Here's papaya, also known as dragon fruit. This fruit originates from Central America but is also grown in Vietnam, Australia, and Thailand. It's a nutritional superfood, rich in antioxidants proven to reduce the risk of heart disease and high blood pressure. And yes, it might be hard to find, but if you happen to see one at an Asian market, grab it like your kidneys depend on it. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating a little, but just a little. Not many people know that papaya isn't just beautiful to look at, it's one of the few fruits that actually contains iron. Yep, you heard that right, iron. And let's be honest, if there's one mineral CKD patients need more of, it's iron. But wait, there's more. Papaya also contains more magnesium than most fruits, so it's a 2-for-1 deal. Remember that the next time you're walking through the exotic fruit aisle. The difference between a vegetarian diet and a renal diet. Of course, this patient doesn't only eat fruit. We'll take a look at some staple foods in a moment. But before that, I know some of you are wondering, but I'm already on a vegetarian diet. How is this man's diet different from mine? So, if you're already a vegetarian, how is this diet different from yours? Well, folks, there's a big difference between being vegetarian or vegan and following a renal diet. Here's the thing, being vegan is a lifestyle. Some people do it because of their culture, others to save animals, protect the environment, or maybe just to fit into a hemp sweater they bought at the farmer's market. This diet, however, is entirely about saving your kidneys, not the planet. You come to us, young people, looking for hope, how dare you? I know, but it's easy to care about the environment when you're young and healthy. In fact, on a plant-based renal diet, you might even sneak in some animal-based foods. That's right, vegetarians, hold on to your pearls. Some of my patients eat egg whites. Why? Because they're a complete protein with very little phosphorus. But of course, this only works if your total protein intake remains low enough to keep your kidneys happy. On the flip side, you may have to avoid some vegetables that are higher in protein than a gym-goer's protein shake, lentils, black beans, lima beans. Yeah, those aren't exactly kidney-friendly in this context. So it turns out a medical diet is a little more complex than just talking about kale and quinoa like your local food activist. A little-known problem is causing this man's kidney function to decline. Back to our miraculous stage 5 patient, who turned things around and avoided dialysis. But guess what? Kidney failure wasn't the only thing he was dealing with. This patient was also constipated. Of all things, that was a major obstacle. He's in stage 5 and can't get dialysis, and we're talking about constipation? But here's the interesting part, the doctors were right to treat this as a big deal. Why? Because the gut isn't just a place for digesting food, it's a battlefield, and your kidneys are caught in the crossfire. Now, let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, doctors were deeply concerned about potassium levels in CKD patients. Their solution was simple: too much potassium? Just stop eating bananas, avocados, tomatoes, and potatoes. Boom! Problem solved. But, not really. And what does all this have to do with constipation? It turns out banning most common fruits and veggies for CKD patients was a bad idea. There are many reasons why that's true, and constipation is definitely one of them. In fact, as we've seen, when a CKD patient is deprived of most common fruits and vegetables, they don't get enough fiber and can become constipated. Now, when you're constipated, the food you eat stays in your gut a lot longer. This often leads to elevated serum potassium levels. Yes, for many patients, avoiding bananas is actually what causes their hyperkalemia. But if serum potassium levels are more about how long food stays in your gut than the actual potassium content of the food itself, What about uremic toxins? You might ask, are constipated patients more likely to have high creatinine and uric acid levels? If you're thinking that, congratulations. In fact, one of the ways this new diet helped our patient was by reducing the amount of uremic toxins he was absorbing from his food. Now you might ask, what food should we eat to improve gut health and reduce toxin absorption in the gut? There are a few great foods for reducing gut transit time. Perhaps the most famous are plums and prunes. Yes, if you've ever been constipated, they might have been one of the first remedies you tried, and they probably worked. Plums are high in fiber and phenolic compounds, which is a fancy way of saying natural laxatives. Plus, they're a fantastic addition to any kidney-friendly diet. Plums belong to the same family as peaches, apricots, and cherries, and they're actually even richer in antioxidants. This fruit, especially the anthocyanins, a type of polyphenol responsible for their color, offers major benefits. And folks, when it comes to antioxidants, the more, the better. Right now, plums are in season, which is fantastic. But dried plums, those wrinkled little things, are available all year round. They provide most of the same benefits, with one condition: they've been dried, which means they contain more calories and minerals per piece. So, if you're adding prunes to your list, just remember, moderation is key. Now, here's a little-known food combo that can also help relieve constipation: papaya and flax seeds. These two are like the Batman and Robin of bowel movements. You see, both support healthy digestion. Papaya is high in fiber and beta-carotene, and it contains an enzyme called papain. Papain aids digestion and is considered a remedy for constipation and symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. Flax seeds, on the other hand, provide both soluble and insoluble fiber, which help improve intestinal transit. This makes for a powerful combination to boost gut health. Speaking of gut heroes, don't forget kiwi. The number of health benefits this small fruit delivers never ceases to amaze me. In fact, kiwi isn't just one of the richest sources of vitamin C, it's also linked to improvements in blood pressure. Not to mention that kiwi contains a good amount of sorbitol, a natural laxative, and an enzyme called actinidin, which also supports digestion. Folks, fruits like these should be the foundation of your diet. Eat plenty, eat often, and don't worry about potassium. If your potassium levels are high, you may actually need more fruit, not less. But won't all that fruit raise my blood sugar? Of course, you should pay attention to how many carbs you eat if you have diabetes. But here's the thing, while all fruits are low in protein, not all of them are high in carbs. Take avocados, olives, and coconuts, for example. These are like the rebels of the fruit world. They contain more healthy fats than carbs, making them perfect choices for people with diabetes. Plus, fruit is nutrient-dense and low in calories, which makes it a dream come true for anyone trying to lose weight. That's how you flip the script on diabetes. Let's talk science for a second. Recent research is starting to challenge the old idea that sugar spikes insulin more than protein does. Now, I'm not suggesting you eat refined sugar or ultra-processed carbs, those are never healthy. But before you even think about cutting fruit out of your diet, make sure you've already cut all the excess protein you can. Really, your kidneys will thank you. It seems like this whole kidney diet thing is more complicated than it looks on the surface. Yep, welcome to my world. But honestly, the trickiest part of the kidney diet isn't just keeping up with the latest guidelines, it's personalization. Many plant-based foods are healthy, but CKD, chronic kidney disease, patients can't eat an unlimited amount of food every day. That, of course, makes finding the right foods to add to a patient's diet incredibly important. So how do we do that? Low-protein staple foods are not fruits. Let's look at some other low-protein staples. Because of course, even though limiting protein is one of the main keys to fighting kidney disease, a diet of just fruit isn't exactly practical. So let's look at which vegetables are the lowest in protein, shall we? Starting with carrots. When it comes to the kidney diet, few foods are as underrated as carrots. Not only do they have less protein than most other vegetables, they're also alkaline, meaning they protect your kidneys from excess acid in the blood, a common issue for CKD patients. They also have detoxifying benefits thanks to their high beta-carotene content, which is a water-soluble form of vitamin A. If that's not enough to convince you to add carrots to your diet, a recent study linked carrot consumption to lower risk of high blood pressure. So if you think carrots are just for rabbits, your kidneys might want a word with you. Another food that doesn't get recommended often enough is onions. These are seriously underrated in the kidney world. Super low in protein, onions are a great source of fiber and prebiotics, both essential for optimal gut health. People with kidney problems should eat onions every day for many reasons. They have anti-inflammatory effects, lower LDL, bad cholesterol, and are almost the ideal vegetable for kidney health. You know that sulfur that makes you cry when you chop them? Turns out, it's also a powerful detoxifier. And one group of nearly protein-free foods, just like fruit, is mushrooms. Of course, the usual recommendation here is shiitake mushrooms, because they're rich in vitamin D, especially sun-dried shiitake mushrooms, which are usually easy to find because they come pre-packaged. Shiitake mushrooms also help improve cholesterol levels thanks to their beta-glucan content. But don't just stop at shiitake, most mushrooms are welcome in a kidney-friendly diet. So go ahead and explore whatever fresh mushrooms you can find at your local grocery store. Just don't try to forage for them yourself unless you have a degree in mycology. That's all for today. Thank you for watching, and God bless you all. Goodbye.